welcome to another edition of It's About Money. I'm Nanette Nokan, and thanks for joining us. If this is the first time you've tuned in, we talk about a number of money issues, including how to make more of it and how to keep more of it as well. I'd like to tell you that our intention is to educate and motivate and not to replace your advisor, because there is no substitute to a comprehensive financial plan that includes a team of advisors such as a financial planner, accountant, and attorney. Today I'm delighted to have our guests from an organization called SCORE, S-C-O-R-E. They're here to tell us a little bit more about SCORE, and if you are a small business owner or thinking about purchasing a business, it's a great program to stay tuned in. So let me welcome our guests. Our first guest immediately to my left is Ray Feasey. Ray was the chair of the Rochester Chapter 23, and he was also formerly a chief engineer at Morley Machinery Corporation, and was at Kodak for 26 years as a supervisor of machine design engineers and as a manager of capital projects. That was a lot, but that was great. So welcome, Ray.
You got it all in.
Yes. Our next guest is Bob Brandt. Bob used to own Bayless Furniture in Rochester, and he specializes in helping businesses going out of business. So welcome. I appreciate having both of you here.
Thank you.
So let's talk about SCORE a little bit more. What kind of organization is SCORE about?
Well, SCORE is a national organization that was formed about 35 years ago, in fact, exactly 35 years ago this year. And it came about as it started out originally as a group of businessmen that were retired getting together and helping other businesses with their knowledge. The SBA about that time was looking for some adjunct operation where they could do counseling for their prospective clients, where they were making loans to banks and so forth. And they sort of melded, and so consequently SCORE is really an adjunct service of the Small Business Association.
Okay, SBA being a Small Business Association. Thank you.
And there are about 300 plus chapters across the United States, all the major cities. Rochester has one of the larger chapters. We have about 90 members here in Rochester. That's quite unusual for a city this size. There are something like 12 to 13,000 members nationally. Primarily, we're made up of retired business people, but we do also have a fairly large segment in SCORE that are still actively in business. But they volunteer their time to help small businesses get started and small businesses that might be in difficulty. I think that one of the things that I want to make sure everybody understands is that our services are both confidential, that's very important, and also free.
Good to know. That's great. Now, when you said it was started by men, and you obviously have women volunteers as well these days.
Yes, that might have been a slip of the tongue. I'm not really sure whether there were some women in that first group, but definitely there are women. In fact, our goal, one of the goals nationally, and I think Sue will talk about this later, is to try to get our membership to at least a 25% women participation in SCORE. And I offer any of you out there, if you have any interest in this organization and think you have the qualifications, please contact us, because we're very interested in building the number of women that we have in our local chapter.
Very good.
And minorities.
Thank you. Thank you, Ray. Tell us about the services that SCORE can provide.
Right. We do counseling downtown, and we also have field trips, and we work with both, as Ray said, new businesses or businesses that are already in existence. And we give all kinds of advice, financial. In fact, one of the members I had come to me, and all he did was to confirm what his father didn't want him to do. He had 3 people, including 2 from SCORE, tell him that he should go ahead, and he did go ahead. So I think the important thing is to emphasize that Ray said it is a free service, and we welcome all. And as I say, when we don't have people downtown, we go right out into the field, into their businesses also.
Great. Now, tell me about, suppose I'm a small business owner or want to start a business. How do I go about securing counseling services? How do I make an appointment for this free service?
Sure. Well, first of all, our office is in the Federal Building downtown at 101 State Street, and it's on room 410, the 4th floor, and the phone number is 6473, and of course we're always available. If for some reason people can't find that, we can be reached through the SBA office, but it is better to call directly to SCORE.
Okay.
And
we are in the phone book too.
Yes.
If you go
Okay,
in the
great.
blue pages, we're under SBA. You will find the SCORE number there.
No, very
Right.
nice. Okay. Now, you talked about the free service. What is the difference between the free service and then a consulting service?
Well, we have a definition on that. I'm not
Okay.
sure everybody would accept it, but for the purposes of our chapter, it seems to work. And that is, we are not really consultants, and by that I mean, if we ask you to prepare a business plan for your business, we will tell you how to do it. We will give you all the brochures you need and all the backing and help you need, but we will not do it for you, unlike a consultant that you might hire to do that particular task.
So you take them to a point of what they need to do, and then they have to help
They
themselves.
have to do the homework.
Okay,
Right.
sounds good. Now, prior to the first meeting, what does a client have to do to prepare for that?
Well, they first of all should call and arrange an appointment for downtown, and they should certainly have some idea where they're going, or if not where they're going, where they've been if they're already in business, and where they need help. Obviously, some businesses need help in everything. Other businesses have certain areas, whether it be banking or advertising, marketing, and that's the area. Before, when I mentioned about reaching SCORE, I did not point out there's also chapters. We have chapters in Penn, Canandaigua, and Greece.
Great.
And so they have, most of them, I believe, are located in the chamber, but they can be reached there for some of the out-of-town locations, or people, I should say.
So before the first meeting, a client should really think and reflect about where they need the most
Where they need
help and that kind of thing. So not just show up and you tell them what to do, because
Right.
that's not the kind of help you provide.
I think probably, even though it varies with each particular case, some people that come to us have already been well established in business for a long time.
Okay.
They have a specific problem that they come to us with. That is far different than somebody who suddenly thinks, well, it'd be nice to start a business, and comes in absolutely no homework done at all. It would be nice if they all did a little bit of research on it before they came in, or a little better prepared, some of them.
Sure. Okay, that's great. Now, what can I expect? Suppose I was a SCORE client. Would that be what I would be called, a SCORE client?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
great. All
we
right.
call them clients.
All right, sounds good. As a SCORE client, what can I expect to leave with me after that initial consultation?
Well, that first hour's consultation, really the best that we can do when we're counseling is to, well, first of all, be a sympathetic listener and try to find out exactly what it is they want us to help them with. And we sort of take it from there. Every case is different. Normally, most of our clients, or at least the ones I've had, normally most of them, if they have not been in business before, will leave with a certain amount of literature that we will give them, from government literature and also literature that some of our members have written on how to start your own business. They will also leave, if the counselor has done a good job, with a list of things that they should be doing. And generally, it is our position to have them, or to set up then another time to get together with them.
Okay.
So to give them the homework and say, now, how long do you think it's going to take to do this? Why don't we meet again over breakfast or somewhere, wherever you want to meet, and we'll attack the second part of this, and we just keep on going. Unlike the SBDC, which is another very worthy organization locally and part of SBA, we will continue to provide counseling as long as somebody needs it.
Okay.
We just continue to follow it up, and we've done it literally for years on
That's
some
right.
businesses until they're on their feet.
When you talk about the organization, for the benefit of our viewers who are not familiar with that organization, SBC.
That's the Small Business Development Centers, and the ones here, the one closest to us is located at SUNY Brockport. They also have an office in the old Sibley Tower building. I forget exactly what the office number is, but
Okay, sounds great.
Another thing that should be added on, that after the first meeting, say downtown, for example, we have a store that's in the city on Monroe Avenue, and they asked and needed accounting help, and our SCORE counselor helped them, And after a year or so, he said, well, I need marketing experience, someone with marketing experience. And then I ended up helping because that's one of my supposedly expert parts, and not accounting. But anyhow, so the two of us were then working with this client, not just one.
Yeah.
And we provide a general service.
Yeah, we quite often have a team
Yes.
working with a customer.
Very nice,
Yeah.
very nice. I appreciate that. Well, thank you so much, Ray Feasy and Bob Brandt, for sharing us some information about SCORE, so then we could talk with the other colleagues that you have at SCORE to
Well,
tell us a little bit more.
Thank you for
Well,
the
thank-
opportunity of presenting SCORE to
Right.
the public. It's we don't often get this chance.
That's right.
Thank
It's
you.
wonderful. Thank you. And I appreciate it.
Our next guests from SCORE are Sue Hartman and Jerry Brayman. Sue is the owner of Hartman Group presently, consultant to manufacturing companies that need some help in turning it around, and she's also a national director of SCORE. Welcome, Sue.
Thank you.
Our other guest is Jerry Brayman. He is the former owner of Brayman Uniforms and 6 Sneed and Cleat stores in Rochester, New York, and also a former chair of SCORE Chapter 23. Welcome, Jerry.
Thank you.
My first question to you is, can you give us an example of where SCORE has provided some significant help to a small business locally?
Yes, a couple of businesses come to mind. I got a call from a young lady who has a health food and vitamin store in the town of Fairport called The Picture of Health.
Okay.
And she originally called me out there to help her with some marketing. And we got into that, and through the conversation I found out that she really needed more than marketing. She needed a plan to advertise her store locally, to integrate herself with the community, and actually some rearrangement of things within the store. And we got that accomplished, and about 3 or 4 months later she called me, and she was very concerned that a chain food store in the area was going to open a health food department, and she wondered how she was going to survive being a sole proprietor. And I told her, don't panic. Your greatest advantage is yourself, because she was very knowledgeable about vitamins, supplements, and I said, if you continue to give this kind of advice to your customers, it's going to continue to influence them and have their friends come in. And I talked to her yesterday, and she's been in business now over a year, and actually she's gained in volume, and she's quite happy, and we'll continue to help her as long as she wants us to.
All right, that's great. It's a great story. I mean, instead of giving up with this big business coming over, just continue.
There's always room for
Wonderful.
uniqueness.
Yeah, that's great. No, there's a lot of small businesses like the one you talked about. Do you do anything in terms of representation for those small businesses with regards to government initiatives and things like that?
There's a number of initiatives where SCORE has really worked with the government at all levels, federal, state, and local. I think an excellent example at the federal level is SCORE's support of the SBA Welfare to Work initiative,
Okay.
where SCORE actually works with individuals on welfare to help to get them the skills, the training that's required to go into business for themselves or to work in a small business environment. So very supportive of those type of initiatives. At a state level, SCORE has done a lot of work with the New York State Department of Labor to really help those people who are unemployed to again gain the skills that are required to move into a workforce. And in many cases that's a very small business orientation. Jerry has an excellent example around the Central Library grant that you might want to talk about a little bit.
Yes, just recently the library was given some money to train people in the use of the internet. And since we teamed up with them, they're using SCORE counselors as trainees. So we have a better knowledge of the Internet. And there are about 4 sessions that we attended, and people like myself who have very slim knowledge of computers are kind of brought up to date. And starting in May, we're going to be able to send our clients to the library so as they have knowledge of the latest things in the Internet.
That's great. That's terrific. Now, I understand clients can go for individual counseling, but you also put out some seminars through the year. Can you tell us a little bit about the seminars that occur during the year and how a person can get involved or know more about the seminars?
Yes, we hold a seminar once a month at Midtown Tower, and normally the topics run from small business startup to how to write a business plan and how to market your business. And we repeat these topics several times throughout the year. And in addition to that, they'll cover things like business on the Internet, taxes, insurance, and some legal considerations. Also, there are co-sponsored seminars in 3 high schools: Rush Henrietta, Greece Olympia, and West Irondequoit. And anyone who's interested in attending those sessions, if they get in touch with the high schools, they run them in the spring and in the fall, and they'll give them all the details about when they can attend and what's involved.
And part of the continuing education or adult
Yes.
education program.
Yes.
That's terrific. Are there any costs to attending this class?
Yes, the costs vary with the high schools, and they set their own agenda on the fees. The ones that we run at Midtown Tower are $25, but it's an all-day session. It includes your lunch, and it includes all the handouts.
Sounds affordable. So you're involved in the national organization of SCORE. Tell us a little bit more about the scope of SCORE on the national level.
I think SCORE over the past 2 years has faced some real challenges. And one of those is really about how do you maintain your viability into the future? How do you ensure that your counselors have the right skills to really support the needs in today's environment? Just as Jerry alluded to with technology, technology is such a critical component now of small business. How do we make sure our counselors have those skills so that they can continue to provide high-quality counseling services? So there's been a tremendous amount of work around increasing the quality of counseling support and services for all of the SCORE participants and members. So that's one area of focus. There's also been a tremendous amount of focus in SCORE at increasing the number of women and minorities that are part of the counseling workforce and also, in fact, part of the board. So about 4 years ago, SCORE brought 4 women members onto the board so that the board and the counselors would be more representative of the client base that we're serving. So a number of initiatives, another really interesting one, a number of activities with SCORE at a national level, working with some key alliance partners such as Visa, such as Dun & Bradstreet, so that again SCORE gets not only the exposure that you would get from partnering with such a high-profile company, but also gets a lot of support as far as in-kind services. So there's some real advantages and a lot of very key initiatives in today's environment.
So it's really important to have that national umbrella because you can make the connections with the various companies.
I
that
think
can provide
so.
support.
The other thing
Great.
that it provides is it really provides that continuity, because when you're looking at approximately 400 chapters U.S.-wide, you want SCORE to represent the same thing in Paducah as it does in Rochester.
Sure.
So I think that national umbrella is really key.
Sure. Plus the training you'd mentioned to keep the services that you provide in a high level.
That's right.
Very nice. Now, you talked about the internet, Jerry. How might a person contact the local chapter via internet?
Well, we have local internet by using www.score.org, or if they wanted to contact the Small Business Administration, it would be www.sba.gov. And of course, they can call the SCORE office. We have our phone is 263-6473, and they can give them all the information on how to contact us either by phone or by internet.
Sure. Oh, great. That's wonderful. So if someone wants to find out information in the middle of the night, they could just type go to internet
right.
and get the information right there
Yes.
and make the appointment the next day. Great. Now, what do you see as one of the major problems, or maybe there are a lot of problems that entrepreneurs are facing today, people that you're helping? What's their biggest challenge?
Well, mostly when they start a business, the primary concern to us is that they don't have enough finances to carry them through. And if they see us early enough in their budding career, we can outline a path for them to take so as they can get the kind of financing they need through banks, how to prepare their financial statements and business plans so they'll be acceptable to the banks, and form a real marketing plan. Unfortunately, a lot of people come to counseling with us with a great idea, but haven't got the foggiest idea about how to run a business. And the idea itself is only pretty good unless you can tie it in with running the business, the finances.
Sure.
When you tell them that they have to meet a payroll once a week, they turn ashen.
Yeah, right. What do you mean?
Right, they haven't had this experience, and it's quite a challenge.
Right, they work for free as entrepreneurs during the beginning stages. Why should anybody else get paid, right? Just kidding. That's great. Well, actually, if John DeLorean went to see you guys, he'd probably be in business still, right?
We could only hope. I think DeLorean had a competition problem, which
Yeah,
is one of the
true.
other areas that
True.
Jerry could mention as far as the kind of support that's provided. People believe, again, if I have a really good product, those customers will come. And often they forget there's a lot of competition out there today in small business.
Sure, and you have to get your marketing plan out so people know
Absolutely.
about you. Having a good product is not enough. You just have to let people know about that. Now, could you remind our viewers how they can contact SCORE for an appointment or for free counseling or to find out more about your seminars? Just to kind of give them a brief recap.
I think the best way would be to contact the SCORE office. The phone number, again, is 263-6473. Our operators there will direct them to our SCORE seminars, and they'll also send them information. We put out brochures that have the seminars listed for 6 months at a time. And we'll give them the information on the schools, where they can call and who they should be in touch with. So that would primarily be the best way to get started.
Okay, great. So if I have an idea for a business, or I already have a business but I want to expand or have a concern, or even if I'm going out of business, that it would be a smart thing to contact SCORE and see how you could help me in that process.
Yes.
Is that fair to say?
Absolutely.
That's great. What a wonderful service. I think in Rochester we're blessed with a lot of entrepreneurial opportunities, especially with the layoffs from the bigger companies in town. And certainly there's a tremendous need for some support, from individuals like yourselves and your volunteers. So this
True.
is great. Now, how do you get your volunteers? How do people become members of
Well,
SCORE?
that's a really interesting question. Lots of different ways, but I think just as how do you find a job, it's all about networking.
Sure.
And it's about looking for people that are like you, that have a lot of energy, enthusiasm, and something that they can bring that's of value to the client. And in many cases, our SCORE volunteers are really leveraging 20, 30, 40 years of their own entrepreneurial knowledge or their corporate knowledge, and they're able then to share that with the clients that come to SCORE for support and for counseling. So again, a lot of it's leveraging your network and finding people who really want to give something back to the community. Many people are really looking for that, and if they can be challenged and learn at the same time, then there's real value in doing that.
And they don't necessarily have to be former business owners themselves. They
Absolutely
could have,
not.
a staff person or operations manager or something like that.
Absolutely.
Of an organization. It's just willingness to help out and
That's correct.
be involved. That's great. I mean, we also have a lot of retirees in our town, with all the downsizing or whatever it's called, the politically correct term.
Right sizing.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right sizing, right. In our town, I think there's a lot of opportunities for people to get involved and help others as well.
I think an important message, though, is to remember that you don't need to be a retiree to become part of SCORE.
Course. That's right.
So
Okay.
that there's a lot of people who are participating in SCORE now who have not yet retired, but again feel that they would like to give back to the community and have some valuable knowledge and learnings that they would like to share.
Okay.
So for all those people out there who are not yet retired,
You want their
you
help.
still can join SCORE.
SCORE wants you.
SCORE wants you.
That's
Incidentally,
great.
I don't know if we mentioned it before, but all of this advice that we're giving our clients is of no charge to them. We are volunteers, and they get the advice free.
Sure, that's great. That's helping capitalism continue to grow. You
Right.
know, I always tell a lot of my clients, you know, this is America. People will find a way to make a buck. And if there's organizations that can help, you know, individuals who are starting a business or in business expand, that certainly is a wonderful service to give.
Yeah.
So, and I'm so happy to hear that individuals like yourselves who's getting more involved. From what Ray had said earlier in the program, that most of the people who are involved are actually men, but then now there are more women.
We're trying to change that. When you look at the demographics and realize that in small business, approximately 45% of the small businesses started in 1998 were started by women, I think it's really key that SCORE is more reflective of that demographic.
Sure, absolutely. And now I think with you know, women making a choice of doing starting a career or raising a family, which you know a lot of women still do that.
Right.
We have more choices now. It's nice to have that service available to the women in our community. So very nice. And you do expand to other areas outside of Rochester, like you mentioned before.
Yes,
right?
we have satellite SCORE chapters outside our main chapter, and we service, I don't know the exact mileage. They go down to Penyan and Canandaigua, and as far west as Batavia. And other chapters out of Buffalo serve the other side.
Great. That's great. Now, and if someone wants to volunteer in your organization, what kind of time commitment do they expect to have to give?
I think that they would have to consider giving 3-4 hours a week. And depending on the ambition of the volunteers, some counsel every single week, some counsel once a month. You can pretty much dictate it yourself, but you have to keep up with things that are changing. And if you don't counsel often or don't attend sessions, training sessions, you kind of lose out.
Sure. And does SCORE do a match, like with the types of clients you have with the background of the volunteers?
Yes.
Yeah.
And in fact, excellent example of that is through our email counseling, where you actually can get onto the net. You can go in through www.score.org, and you can hit the icon for email, and you can actually ask questions to a broad base of email counselors.
I see.
And in that case, we try very hard to align the skills with the question.
I see.
So you don't just need to talk to a counselor in Rochester. You can actually get information from a counselor in Chicago.
Very nice.
So
That's
it's a
great to hear.
real advantage, I think, for the client.
So it's a quick question they can
Quick
access the
question, and you
resource.
can answer it accordingly.
Great, very good. Well, thank you so much, Sue Hartman and Jerry Brayman. Appreciate your time and the work that you do for SCORE. And thank you, our guests, for joining us at this program that we talked about SCORE. I'm Nanette Naukan. Thank you for joining us.